Epic Rant podcast. Today, the podcast, I'm going to do a review of the 2017 AFC Championship game between the New England Patriots and the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before I get into that, I'd like to say thank you to everyone that listened to episode 1. It really means a lot to me that you took the time out of your day to listen to, just something that I'm doing for fun right now. Whether it was 5 minutes or you listened to the whole thing, I really appreciate it. So as of now, it is on iTunes, so you can listen to it on the podcast app if you have an iPhone. And if not, it's on SoundCloud as well. You can listen to it on SoundCloud in their browser or the SoundCloud app. Just search Not So Epic Rant Podcast. I think you can follow it on SoundCloud. You can follow my podcast, and on iTunes, if you subscribe to it, it'll automatically download every time I upload a new episode. I think there's a bit of a delay, so it will be on SoundCloud faster than it will be on iTunes. And depending on how long, I'll put these on YouTube as well. I think that's where the most people are going to listen to them. The good thing about listening to it on SoundCloud or on iTunes is you can, if you're listening to it on your phone, you can, like with YouTube on an iPhone, you can't listen to it. You gotta have the YouTube app open. You gotta have your phone open or unlocked. You know what I'm trying to say. So it'll save your battery life if you're listening to it on SoundCloud or iTunes. The only thing is iTunes doesn't track the listens, so I don't know. I have no idea how many people listen to it on iTunes. SoundCloud gives you a number count, and then on YouTube, obviously, there's views. But another thing, depending on how long these will be, it'll be on SoundCloud the earliest. So if you really like what I'm doing, SoundCloud will be the best place to look first, and then YouTube and iTunes, it'll be up on those a little after SoundCloud. So, but thanks again to everyone that's listened to the first episode. I greatly appreciate it, and I hope you listen to everything I put out in the near future. Like I said, I don't know how often I'm going to do these. I'd like to do it once a week, but I know with my the way I just know myself, and I don't know if I'll be able to do that every week. Another thing, I have this automatic air freshener in my room, and I forget to turn it off, so it just went off again. Hopefully that doesn't bother you too much. One of these days I'll remember to turn it off. But anyway, moving forward, I believe as of right now there's just under 2 minutes left of the game. Almost never do I walk away from a Steelers game, regardless of how good or bad they're doing. It's just something I don't do because I'm not a fair weather fan at all. I cheered for the Steelers even whenever they lost 5 straight. I was still, I watched every game. I watched the Eagles game that was 34-3. I watched the entire game. I'm not saying, I'm not bragging or saying I'm the best fan. I just, they're my team, and I'm gonna be with them, win, lose, or draw. And I usually watch the game to the end, but it's a little different. Being the last, for a fact now it's the last game of the season, and just seeing this show one too many times with the New England Patriots. It's almost become like Tom Brady is like Ben Roethlisberger's older brother, and he's just always has something over him. You know what I mean? Like it's almost like a sibling rivalry between the two, and we're still waiting for the day that Ben Roethlisberger comes out on the winning end. I mean, yes, the Steelers have beat the Patriots before, but I think obviously the last time they played each other in the AFC Championship was Ben's rookie year, and that game. Well, tonight's game was a little more competitive than that game. I mean, what was that game? 41-27, and whenever I walked away from the TV, it was 36-17, New England. So I mean, a loss is a loss. It really doesn't matter how you lose or how bad the score is, but this winning this game would have been huge for Ben Roethlisberger's legacy. I mean, it certainly didn't hurt him. Another AFC Championship appearance. I think that was his fifth. So he's now 3-2, and he was 3-1. So now he's 3-2. With both losses being to New England, I mean, it's so hard to not compare Ben Roethlisberger to Tom Brady whenever, now that Peyton Manning's gone, those are the top two quarterbacks in the AFC. Like the stat I brought up last week about the AFC quarterbacks in the Super Bowl were all Tom Brady, Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, since 2003, except for the year Joe Flacco made it in. So, Ben Roethlisberger is always going to be compared to Tom Brady. He's definitely going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback. You almost can't pass him up. I mean, the numbers he's put up: 2 Super Bowl championships, 1 loss, so he's 2-3 or 2-1 in the Super Bowl with 3 appearances. Multiple Pro Bowl, 5 or 6 times he made it to the Pro Bowl. Arguably the greatest rookie season of all time. The only person that's come close so far is Dak Prescott, and he, is one and done in the playoffs. And he tied Ben's win record with 13, so he didn't surpass it. So Ben's still tied for first with the most wins in the regular season by a rookie quarterback. He definitely has the most wins overall because of the extra win in the playoffs. So he's got 14 wins in a rookie season. Sorry, I mean, this probably isn't going to be my best podcast of all time because I'm not exactly in the greatest mood, but then again, this is called Not So Epic Rant, and this is a good time for me to do it because, I'm not pleased with their performance whatsoever. I really, honestly, did not. I didn't picture this as the way it was going to end. I mean, obviously, there's a chance of them losing, but I mean, I don't. Typically, whenever people ask me what I think's going to happen in a game, almost never do I make a prediction, mainly because I hate to be wrong. But me being a diehard Steelers fan, always in the back of my head, I think they're going to win every game. Every time they walk onto that field, I think they're going to win. Part of that's because I'm a huge fan. Part of that's because that's the expectations that Steelers fans have. This is, I think it's the winningest organization in the NFL, I believe. An overall record. I could be wrong, but they got to be up there. Obviously, they have the most Super Bowl wins, and regardless of who wins the Super Bowl, they'll still have the most Super Bowl wins. They have 6 Super Bowls on 8 appearances. They're tied with Dallas on appearances. Dallas also has 8 appearances. No team has 6 Super Bowls. Dallas and San Francisco both have 5. Chuck Noll had 4 wins with Terry Bradshaw and the Steel Curtain, 4 Super Bowl wins. Bill Cowher only had 1 Super Bowl win, with 2 appearances. So far, Tomlin's the same, 1 win, 2 appearances. So Tomlin's legacy still has room to improve. Ben's legacy obviously does, but just a complete lackluster performance tonight. Obviously, the loss of Le'Veon Bell so early really hurts because getting back to me not making predictions. One thing I did say to a few people that I did not see a way that New England would stop Le'Veon Bell. Granted, the Patriots have held, I think, all the running backs this year to under 90 yards on average, but the last 2 games, Le'Veon Bell had 170 yards rushing. One of the games was against the Chiefs, who actually have a very good defense, maybe even a better defense at times than the Patriots. But I didn't see the Patriots stopping Le'Veon Bell, I expected him to have 150 yards rushing and probably 1 or 2 touchdowns. Yes, they had trouble getting into the end zone last week and again tonight, but I thought they were just going to run the ball down New England's throat. But losing him after, I think, 2 carries and him sitting out for the rest of the game, as soon as I saw D'Angelo Williams, and it was before anyone even announced that Bell was out, I knew something was up because D'Angelo Williams just doesn't play whenever Le'Veon Bell is in. He just maybe you'll see him in on a weird or after, if they're giving Bell a rest, but usually Bell doesn't need a rest. The dude has 6% body fat. He has insane cardio. He's an every down back. It doesn't matter how long the drive is. Usually Bell doesn't take a break. So as soon as I saw number 34 in, I was worried. Yes, I know D'Angelo Williams is a great running back, but tonight against the New England Patriots for the AFC the AFC Championship, they needed the best running back in the league on the field, and they didn't have him, and that hurt them tremendously. Tremendously. I'm not going to say that if Le'Veon Bell played that game, they would have won, because the way the defense just totally disregarded number 15, Chris Hogan, just totally disregarded him. 180 yards, 9 catches, and 2 touchdowns. And not one of those was a spectacular catch. He's wide open the entire game. He even dropped passes when he was wide open. That's complete bullshit. Call it whatever you want to call it. Call it the mastermind Bill Belichick's play calling and, complete bullshit to just leave someone that wide open. Yes, we saw that before with Gronkowski against the Steelers, but to this extent with this, pretty much a slot wide receiver, normally the Steelers don't have trouble with a slot wide receivers. But the zone defense, they just got picked apart by one player, single-handedly. Yes, Edelman made his plays, but he had over 100 yards. But for the most part, Edelman wasn't wide open. He was after he got the ball, he'd break a tackle. There's a play later in the game where Sean Davis literally gives up because he thinks he's out of bounds or he thinks he's stopped. But Sean Davis just lets go and stands up, and Edelman's like, "Listen, bitch, I'm running down the field." We're getting. I want to say the Patriots had 175 yards after the catch. After that play, to the Steelers' 69 yards. So, just the lack of a pass rush. Tom Brady wasn't threatened at all outside of that sack in the first quarter when I think it was 10-7, or maybe it was before we scored a touchdown. Yeah, it was the drive before we scored a touchdown. They sacked him on 3rd down. Tom Brady didn't get touched. He didn't. There was only a few plays where he held the ball long, but for the most part he got rid of it quickly. So that that's a way to minimize the pass rush. But he didn't get touched. For the most part, they played good against the run, except for that. How disgusting is it to watch LeGarrette Blount run 10 yards with the entire Steelers defense on him? Yes, we've seen that from him before, but watching that happen to your own team is disgusting. And the Steelers are supposed to be this hard-hitting, powerful, tough, rough defense. Half of our linebackers are first-round draft picks. More than half. Bud Dupree, Ryan Shazier, Lawrence Timmons, Jarvis Jones. First-round draft pick linebackers. And then you got Father Time James Harrison in there. Granted, or not granted, but I keep saying that. I'm not shitting on our linebackers, but damn, of all the nights to play like shit, they really picked a good one. Like LeGarrette Blount run 10 yards with the entire Steelers front 7 on him. It hurts not having Cameron Hayward in, yet even though the defense played better after he got hurt. I want to say that's just a coincidence. I could be wrong, but really, I think that's a coincidence that after he tears a pectoral muscle, the defense decides to turn it on, because the game that they turned it on against was against the Browns, who were like 0-10 at that point. But that's besides the point. Leaving Chris Hogan wide open for 9 passes, 180 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's just disgusting. Disgusting to sit there and watch that. And you just saw it coming every time. Every time. You just saw it coming. You know, it looks, Brady's got the ball. He drops back. 3 seconds, 4 seconds. He throws it downfield before you even see him come into the picture, come into the frame. You know it's going to be number 15 wide open. And yep, there he is. Catches the ball, runs into the end zone for 9 passes, 180 yards, and two touchdowns. Yeah, I've said that 3 times already. But that's how you win a game right there. And that's how you lose a game, letting that happen. I think the Steelers' offensive line played a hell of a game outside of that goal line stand, which went from a foot away from the end zone to being 3rd down at the 6-yard line. That was pretty bad. That was pretty sad to watch. Quarterback sneak. Ever heard of it? Tom Brady can do it on third down, 3rd and 1. We can't do it on 4th and inches or 1st and inches. Try and score a touchdown. Really? After the first time you get stopped and you lose 2 yards, what makes you think you're going to do it again? Now you're already all right. So it's 1st and inches, first and goal, but you're inches away from the end zone. You run the ball up the middle and you get stuffed for a 2-yard loss. So you do it again with no fullback. And you have a backup running back. Granted, sorry for saying granted. Yes, I understand D'Angelo Williams could start for half the teams in the NFL, but like I said, you need Le'Veon Bell out there. So it's 2nd down, and they're at the 3-yard line. They're going to run the ball up the middle again? It didn't work the first time, so why would you try it again? No fullback, backup running back. 2nd and 2. So he gets dropped for a 4-yard loss. So now it's 3rd and 6, and you do an out route to Eli Rogers, a 3-yard out route. Even if he catches it, he's not getting in the end zone. He's just not. I think another huge factor in the game had to be the experience level between the Patriots and the Steelers. I mean, it was just apparent that, you know, yes, the Patriots have been in this situation the last 6 years in a row. They were in the AFC Championship. A lot of the plays that, you know, a lot of the miscues on the Steelers' end were caused by players that were rookies, that were second-year players, third-year players. Sammy Coates, all he had to do was extend his arms just a few inches. That Ben couldn't have thrown that ball any better. And his elbows are tucked into his chest, and it smacks him in the fingertips. All he had to do was stick his arms out 3 inches, and that's a catch. Kobe Williams dropping the ball in the end zone. Eli Rogers fumbling the ball. Artie Burns and Sean Davis, 2 rookies on defense, just getting schooled. Just, you know, they put a clinic on those 2 rookie defensive backs. Granted, Javon Hargrave did make that sack, but outside of that, I mean, there wasn't much the defensive line could offer. Yeah, they have Tuitt, who's a 3- or 4th-year player, I believe, who's a great defensive end, but he's not a grade A defensive end. You know, he's a good defensive end, but he's no top 5, top 10 in the league. Javon Hargrave is a rookie. And then you had, what's his name, L.T. Walton. L.T. Walton's your other end because you have Cameron Hayward out, so you got to. I think he's a second-year player, a third-year player, maybe, but still, the experience level was just apparent. Just the maturity of the Patriots team versus, they're just on another level. They're just on another level. The Steelers were outclassed, they were outplayed, they were outcoached. But also the Steelers didn't do anything to help themselves out. The zone defense just didn't work, and it took them the entire game to realize that. I'm not sure if they realized yet that that style of defense isn't going to stop Tom Brady. Too many drop passes. The fumble couldn't have came at a worse time. You can't go 3-and-out against New England. You just can't. I believe Ben Roethlisberger didn't throw an interception, so that's great. But no Le'Veon Bell. Just simply, it was not the Steelers' night, I guess. And I know this Facebook Live bullshit's gonna come back to haunt us. We had to listen to that bullshit for an entire week. But I understand that's the media's job. They, anytime you have 24/7 sports coverage, there's going to be times where they don't have anything else to talk about. So, even during the game, we're talking about Antonio Brown's Facebook Live post, which yes, we understand that was a dumb thing to do. That was a dumb thing to do. He can say he was caught up in the moment. Bullshit. He was not caught up in the moment. If he was caught up in the moment, he wouldn't have been hiding on the other side of the locker room from his coach. He knew what the hell he was doing. He knew what he was doing. But do I think that had anything to do with the game? No. Do I think that had any extra motivation to New England to win that game? No. New England doesn't need extra motivation. The New England Patriots, they've been to 6 straight AFC Championship games. Belichick and Brady have been to 6 Super Bowls together. They're 4-2. Now they're going to their 7th. They don't need motivation anymore. They had their game plan. It worked. The Steelers' game plan didn't. The young players on the Steelers team did not perform well, and that hurt them. Le'Veon Bell's absence hurt them. The defensive game plan hurt them. And New England was New England. So I think I'm done with going over this game. There's really not much more to say. It was painful to watch. I kind of wish, at least if I was a Green Bay fan, I could turn the game off at halftime, 24-0. But 17-9, or what was it? 17-9 at halftime, and it takes Pittsburgh 15, 20, 22 minutes, I believe. 22 minutes of game time to score the next set of points. And at that point, the game was pretty much over. I think it was 33. It was 33-9 before Pittsburgh scored again. So, I definitely have reasons to be optimistic about next year. Just looking at where we are right now. We went 11-5. This was a team that lost 4 games in a row. I think I said 5 games earlier. I can't remember. Or did we go 10-6? I think we went 10-6. We lost 5 games in a row, right? Or did we go 11-5? I think we went 10. Jesus. All right. Regardless, we lost either 4 games in a row or 5 games in a row. I'm thinking it's 5, and we went 10-6. Because we lost that, we definitely lost that game to the Eagles. We lost to the Ravens. We lost to the Dolphins. We lost to the Patriots. We lost to the Cowboys. Is there another team we lost to? I don't know. But they put together 9 straight wins, including the playoffs. Burns and Davis did show signs of promise, mostly on their interceptions. There definitely were games where they just flat out got burnt. Just got burnt. Burnt toast. But they were rookie cornerbacks. And that's one of the hardest positions to play in the NFL as a rookie. Because there's an apparent difference between the defensive level in college football and the defensive level in pro football. You don't see games of 77 points in the pro level. That happens almost every other week in NCAA, especially in the beginning of the season. Whenever bigger teams are playing smaller teams, it's understandable. But there's just a different level when it comes to defense in the pros. So that's a hard position to transfer. Any position on the defense, but definitely easier to come to the NFL as a defensive tackle than it is to be a cornerback or a safety, because defensive tackle has to go up an offensive lineman, whereas a cornerback has to go up against wide receiver, NFL caliber wide receivers that are being thrown. The ball is being thrown to them from NFL caliber quarterbacks, especially if you're playing against the Patriots. You're playing against Tom Brady. I'd rather be a defensive tackle than be a cornerback playing against Tom Brady. So I understand that with two rookies in the defensive backfield making it to the Super Bowl, that's a pretty tough task to ask for. So I definitely like where we're at now going into next year. Right now, I'm expecting Le'Veon Bell to play 16 games. I can't imagine his left groin injury is gonna hamper him into next year. As long as he stays healthy in the offseason, stays healthy through training camp, stays healthy through the preseason, we should get 16 games out of him. Barring that he stays out of trouble, barring that Martavis Bryant stays out of trouble, we'll get him back. Stays out of trouble and stays healthy, we'll have him for 16 games. We'll have Antonio Brown for 16 games. Eli Rogers is developing. Ben Roethlisberger's still in his prime. If he can stay healthy next year, which he hasn't played 16 games in a while. Our offensive line is amazing. When's the last time Ben got sacked? I can't remember. He had 17 sacks this year. He got sacked 17 times. That's insane. I believe it was the second lowest. I believe. So they have, they're only going to get better. They're a pretty young offensive line. So if Pouncey stayed healthy pretty much all season, that's great. Made it to the Pro Bowl. David DeCastro made it to the Pro Bowl. Villanueva played great. What's the other dude's name? Gilbert, he played great. Am I missing someone? The left guard. Ramon Foster? Yes, Ramon Foster. So we got a great offensive line. Ryan Shazier had 2 interceptions in the postseason and 2 interceptions before that, maybe 3. One of the fastest linebackers in the league. Great coverage linebacker. Great at blitzing. Timmons is a great blitzing middle linebacker, but it's obvious that he's in a decline. I'm not expecting to see him next year. I don't know what his contract situation is. I shouldn't say I'm not expecting to see him. I won't be surprised if he gets released, traded, or if he's a free agent, he doesn't get re-signed. He makes plays here and there, but even tonight there's just there's situations where he's in the vicinity of stopping a first down and he just doesn't react quick enough or doesn't have the athleticism to do that. He's in coverage and misses the play. Misses tackles. He was a great linebacker. I don't think he's a pro or a Hall of Fame linebacker. I won't be surprised if he doesn't come back. I hope Vince Williams can take his spot. If not, it looks like we're going to take another linebacker in the first round, which I'm okay with. Not sure whether Harrison comes or leaves. I'm not sure if he'll be here next year. I hope that he stays as long as he can produce like he did in the second half of the year. He didn't play much in the first half, but I would imagine that's because his age, he has limitations, so they save him for the second half of the year. Really, we need Jarvis Jones to step up, and he needs to play like a first-round draft pick. You see splashes of him playing great, and you see bits and pieces of him playing great, but I like how Bud Dupree turned it on towards the end of the season, and especially in the first two playoff games. Bud Dupree played great, so I'm excited to see what he does next year. I hope we get him for 16 games. Another younger player that underperformed tonight, Jesse James, who has been one of the most inconsistent players of the year. He can block his ass off. He's 6'7". He's a slightly taller, slightly skinnier Heath. When it comes to his skill set, he's about as close to Heath Miller as you're going to get, but his hands, he definitely doesn't have Heath hands, because rarely did Heath drop the ball, and I would assume Jesse James has 5 to 10 drops on a season, and that's big. That's big. You need to minimize that to about 3. So if he can get that down to 3, that'll be great. Xavier Grimble made a few big plays. I'd like to see him. I'm not sure what's going to happen with Ladarius Green. We got 3 games out of him, and he was amazing. But he's got to play. He's got to play. You got to be healthy. And you missed 8 weeks to start the season off, and then you didn't play the last 5 weeks of the season, or 4, whatever. So who knows what they're going to do? I think he only had a 1-year contract, so who knows? Definitely has the potential if he's on the field. He made some great plays. I'm expecting them to keep James and Grimble, and hopefully they progress and develop into, starting NFL caliber tight ends, because they're getting there. But Grimble obviously doesn't get the playing time, and like I said, Jesse James was probably one of the most inconsistent players of the 2016 Pittsburgh Steelers team. Roosevelt Nix was a great fullback, so I'm excited to see him next year. Ben's still in his prime. I'm not worried about him at all. And there's just no, what do I want to say? It's obvious. We definitely have the possibility to not be good next year, but with the weapons we have on offense, the youth we have on defense, they can only get better. I think we have a lot of reasons to be optimistic for next year. Last year we made it to the divisional. This year we made it to the championship game. Next year we got to make it to the Super Bowl. And hopefully we get a week off. Hopefully we win the division and we take the number 1 seed and New England comes to Pittsburgh. I hope New England comes to Pittsburgh, and I don't care if we beat the shit out of them. I don't care if we win by a field goal. I don't care if we win by 2 points. I don't care if we win by 1 point. I want Pittsburgh to be the number 1 seed, and I want New England to come to us, and I want to beat them in Pittsburgh. And I want the Steelers to go to the Super Bowl next year. I'm not calling it. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Yes, we have the potential. Pittsburgh has the potential for that to happen next year. They have the talent. They have the fan base. They have the support. Do they have the coaching? I don't know. I'm going to say yes. They do. I'm not going to get into the Steelers coaching because I don't know. That's not my world really. So I just don't know. I know there's a lot of Mike Tomlin haters. For the most part, I'm not a Mike Tomlin fan. I'm not a Mike Tomlin hater. He's the head coach of my favorite team. So he some of the players he's brought into the league, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Ryan Shazier, Bud Dupree. I think that should say enough. 1 Super Bowl win, 2 appearances. Never had a winning season. Had 2 or maybe 3 8-8 seasons. 2 8-8, 1 9-7. But outside of that, never had a losing season. So Bill Cowher had 3. So who knows? The defensive side of the ball. We have what's his name? What the hell is Keith Butler? Definitely room for improvement there. We got Todd Haley as our offensive coordinator, and for the most part, we have Ben Roethlisberger as our offensive coordinator. So I'm fine with that. I'm excited for next year, and I hope we do big things. I already can't wait. I hate this because I remember feeling like this last year when we lost against Denver. As soon as we lost, I was like, can we just start next year already, please? Because in the summertime, you got the hockey season, and hockey, I've just become so I don't know what the word is. Hockey used to be my second favorite sport. I don't know if I brought this up last week, but I don't think I did. So for those of you that don't know, I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan. One of the worst teams in the NHL. So the reason I like the Buffalo Sabres is when I was young, I remember seeing them in the red and black uniforms with the Buffalo head logo, and I was like, holy shit, that's the coolest uniform I've ever seen. And literally, that's the reason why I started liking them. And they weren't great, but I think they made it to the playoffs whenever I started liking them. And I liked a bunch of the players, Maxim Afinogenov and Miroslav Shatan, not Martin Brodeur, what's his name? Dominic Hasek, and then we had Martin Biron. Martin Biron was his replacement. Alexei Zhitnik, Paul Greer, some great players, and that's why I liked them. So I really think the NHL has become watered down. The lack of hitting and the lack of fighting, it's just not as exciting as what I remember. I think it's getting kind of boring, and liking one of the worst teams in the league doesn't help because they get like 3 national televised games a year, and I live in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, so if I want to watch them, I either got to get the center ice or whatever it's called, what's it called? NHL center ice package. Pay like $400 to watch the shittiest team in the league and to watch a sport that I think has become pretty boring, or I can illegally stream all their games, and that's a hassle and shitty quality. So it's not like I watch every game and am bored. I kind of just, I've just kind of, I just have a weird relationship with the NHL, which I love the sport of hockey. I like to play hockey, but I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. So I can't really watch hockey until June. So now I get to watch the Pro Bowl, which is the worst football game you ever watch in your life. I get to watch Tom Brady playing another Super Bowl. And then it's hockey season until June, and then you got baseball and NASCAR until our August rolls around, and then you get 4 weeks of preseason football, which you get to watch Landry Jones and a bunch of dudes that don't have the number on their helmet run around the field and lose 4 games until you finally get to see Ben Roethlisberger and the boys in, September? So, yeah, it's January. We gotta wait 9 months to get back into the football season. So, yeah, I'm not excited. I'm not really happy. Tonight was a shitty night. The Steelers season's over, and we get to watch the Patriots play another Super Bowl. So I think I've beat that subject into death, and if I have anyone still listening to this, I love you. I'm in love with you if you're still listening to this, because I guarantee I lost you at about the 5-minute mark. So I think I should call it for the night. Thank you to everyone that's listened to episode 1. Thank you to everyone that's listened to any 10 seconds of this podcast. You can listen to this on SoundCloud, iTunes, the podcast app, and YouTube, like I said earlier. Definitely going to have guests on in the future, so that's something to look forward to. I'm not sure how the microphone I'm using now is going to work with 2 people talking or having a conversation, but I'm sure it'll work fine. If I get if this podcast gets popular enough, I'm definitely planning on getting an actual podcast setup, because right now I'm using a Zoom H2N, which is actually, I mean, you can tell by listening to it, it's great quality. It's I don't know what you call it. It's a standalone, like it records, like you put the SD card in it. It's the microphone and the recorder, which is great. But for the most part, podcasts are done like on an interface or with a mixer with a multi-microphone setup. So we'll see how that goes in the future. I mean, I already have an interface, so I just planned on buying 2 mics and then having like a little more professional setup. But I mean, the sound quality I get with this Zoom H2N is amazing. So who knows? We'll just see. We'll just see if this thing grows. I hope it does. I hope people listen to it. I hope people think I'm entertaining. I hope people enjoy this. And I think that's enough ranting and stammering and stuttering for one night. So yeah, that'll be it for the Not So Epic Rant podcast. I think I'm going to throw in the title that this is a AFC Championship review. So if football's not your thing, you don't even need to listen to it. So stay tuned for more episodes in the future. We'll be having guests on. So thank you guys, and